And now, a retrospective in celebration and memoriam of Tottenham Hotspur's title challenge, August 2023 to November 2023. Cue the Sarah McLachlan. I will remember. This is the ArsenalVision Post-Match Podcast. My name's Elliot Smith. You can block me on Twitter, Yankee Gunner. Oh, the Spurs title challenge. We hardly knew you because you never really existed. What an interesting and fun weekend of Premier League football, pure Barclays. Unfortunately, you know the meme, one normal day of Premier League will never happen? That meme that we all love to quote it. Well, it's over because the brand quoted it. The Premier League Twitter account tweeted out one regular day of Premier League will never happen. So now we all have to come up with a new meme. Sorry, everybody. Old meme's canceled. New meme has to be found. Hello, everybody. I hope you are doing well as we enter the international break. I hope you have created whatever prayer circle is required for Gabriel Jesus, who has been told by Brazil he has to go on a plane and fly halfway around the world for them to determine that his hamstring is not in condition to play. Although what I suspect will happen due to their injuries is that they will send him out there on crutches to play Argentina next Tuesday, and we will see him in the distant future. I hope that doesn't happen. We're going to have a little fun today. We're going to talk Premier League and, of course, Arsenal's victory over Burnley. We'll keep it snappy and light and punchy for you today, but I do want to let you know that we did a Schadenfreude-ish kind of instant reaction over the weekend, if you want to hear that. And also, we will do our power rankings this week. I'm very excited for that. We're also going to do scouting videos. Probably Zubamendi and Douglas Luiz, I think, are on the agenda. Maybe one or two others, as Clive messages me the players that I am instructed to put on the agenda for these scouting videos. There's so much fun stuff ahead, and we are so happy that you were here to share it with us and here to share it with me. Obviously, look, you know Tim is not on. I have kicked him off because he hosted and people thought he did a good job, and my ego simply cannot tolerate that, even if I know it's true. Here with me now is Paul. You can find him on Twitter at Pause My Pants. Hello, Pause.
Woohoo!
And Clive. You can find him on Twitter at ClivePFC. Hello, Clive.
Hello.
Let's have a little fun, guys. Let's start it off. Let's not talk Burnley yet. Let's just have a little bit of fun. Paul, over the weekend, Tottenham Hotspur lost to Wolves. Over the weekend, Manchester City were pegged back by Chelsea in what was an exhilarating match, and Newcastle, I think, produced like almost less XG than they did against us in their loss to Bournemouth. A really good weekend that leaves the table looking good. I don't know about you, but I think the table looks pretty good right now for Arsenal. What do you think of the weekend's action non-Arsenal-wise? What did you enjoy from the Premier League this weekend?
Have you noticed how often somebody says, let's have fun, and that's the last fun thing about it? However, this is the exception. Mm-hmm. This was actually a very fun weekend.
That's like at a work conference where they're like, thank you for coming to this 3-day conference on email internet security. Let's have some fun. And then they proceed to lecture you for 8 hours a day on phishing filters and things
or
like that.
LinkedIn shots where they take a picture of themselves at a conference about how much fun they had. They didn't. It kind of sucked.
Yeah.
They were on a booze.
Yeah.
It's not getting talked to by people walking past it. They had a terrible time. This, however, was very different.
It was actual fun.
Yeah. There was no booze. You didn't have to kind of approach strangers and introduce your products and services. This was us relatively moving up the table, others falling away. Tottenham Hotspur showing the light, fluffy cream that they are on the top of your coffee, your latte, getting blown away in the wind, as substantive as not very much. And I think so. My narrative for this season is this slow, steady build, not as impressive, not as exciting, not as blockbusterish as we started last season. And there's a plus and a minus to how we started last season. I think we worked out what the minus was. And I just think we're building quite nicely. And given that we've had the injuries, we've had the change, the first 11s we're putting out look pretty good on paper, except they generally haven't played together in this format, this lineup, these combos, different players in different units. So we're not getting the automatisms. And so I'm plotting at one of two things will happen. Either we'll not be very good all season. I think that's a terrible plan. Or we're going to have this steady build as we get our synchronicities, our automatisms kicking in. And meanwhile, I see that the rest of the league hasn't pushed past us. So I like how this is setting up, and I had fun.
Yeah, it was super fun. I mean, nothing's better. Like, Spurs played at 6:30 local time for me. I wasn't going to set an alarm to wake up to watch Tottenham Hotspur. I'm not an idiot. But I did know that I wanted to give it a glance, given the players that they were missing through suspension and injury. And when I woke up, it was 1-0 to Tottenham. They had scored early. And I was like, well, I might as well have it on while I'm getting my day moving, getting ready for the blockbuster football club that is Arsenal to go and dominate Burnley.
They did look very pleased after that first goal. They really had that, here we go again, look.
Yeah, they really did, except for the 2 goals they conceded late in the second half. And I have to say, I think it was Lamina who scored the first one. He scored the winner.
Yeah.
Who was it? I can't remember. But
Sarabia.
Sarabia, yeah. He leathered that. That's a great control and finish. And then to win it at
that's
the absolute
Sarabia. You know that song. That's Samore. I had it through my head for the whole game.
That's Sarabia.
Yeah.
I think Sarabia. So you say Sarabia, I say Sarabia. What we both say is that he won the game or helped win the game for Wolves, and I really enjoyed it. Clive, one of the other things I really enjoyed from this weekend, thanks to Manchester City shipping 4 goals and quite a bit of XG, Arsenal now have the meanest defense in the league, both in terms of goals and in terms of expected goals allowed, at about 9.3 expected goals allowed, and a bit of a distance to City in second. We do have the top defense, and I think it's interesting looking at our game against Chelsea, just as a comparison, because while I don't think we were excellent, Chelsea created nothing. I mean, if you remember, they got their goals off a dodgy handball penalty and a toed cross that flew into the net. They opened City up quite a bit. That game looked kind of like basketball from the start. I was really surprised. Is that the game that stands out for you from the weekend? Because I think it was obviously the best game of the weekend, and it surely at least raises a few questions about how Manchester City approached that game and if maybe there's some vulnerability there.
Yeah, I don't think they'll be happy not being top of the XG against table, because that's how they're built, right? And so yeah, they tried to control games, and when they played us, what stood out when they played us was the respect by which they played us. There was none of this charging around, was there? I mean, you could have, that pitch was only about 10 yards by 30 yards. I mean, literally, and nobody moved. We're not risking anything in this lot. They're quite good, you know what I mean? And we're waiting for a mistake. And when they played against Chelsea, it's like, we're playing Chelsea. Let's just go for them. And they got their customary PGMOL first goal that they need in big games. They got that nicely for a little tug at the back post. It's funny how contact in the box varies from game to game, doesn't it? I mean, I don't know about you. Maybe I'm just being a little bit sensitive, shall we say? But yeah, a little touch on...
Well, Clive, let's at least be thankful that this weekend things went back to normal and 2 hands in the back in the box to give yourself leverage for a header is a foul, as we saw with Bukayo Saka. So it all goes back to normal. That's the good news. The laws of the game are as we expected.
I'm so pleased that we can all see a consistent product in front of us. And it just keeps us all nice and sane and steady, right? So, so to see 6'5" Haaland, the monster, fall down so easily from Cucurella's little cuddle around the waist, that set me right. And good thing is that Chelsea played with a level of no fear. And let's give them credit, right? We've watched this team through the corner of our eye, and we've seen this group of players come together, and we've had a giggle because we can see the talent, we can see the potential, we can see the ages, but there's nothing sticking them together. There's no glue, there's no identity. And when they played us, they ran about a bit, got the goals, as you said, but there's an identity developing as players becoming more comfortable playing with each other. And I felt Chelsea played like a very good team that really played with no fear of the result. And they put fear into Man City, and I got to give them credit. You got to give them credit. They're not my favourite team, as the listener will know, but your eyes don't lie, right? We could see a team that was not afraid. We got all our pundits telling us that City can win the league by 10 points. Yeah, it may well happen. I don't know. But what I do know is Chelsea not accepting it. If other teams in the league don't accept it, there's a chance. I know Arsenal not accepting it. They're trying to win. Sorry for trying to win. Sorry for caring about every point dropped. Sorry for trying to raise our standards. But we're trying to win. You think we can't win, but we're trying to win. And I'm so pleased to see Chelsea approach the game in that way, and fair play to them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think another thing just to keep an eye on, Rodri was very poor in this game. And he is such an important player for City. And if there's any dip in his form, any dip in, where he's at, it'll be interesting to watch. I mean, one thing that I think is worth acknowledging, this is a team that wins the Premier League every single season, and they won the treble last season, and motivation can be difficult. And, if you keep asking the same players to keep playing the same way and producing the same results year in, year out, I just don't think that's an easy thing to do, Clive.
Yeah, when you said Rodri was poor, I just had to put my finger up and say, hold on a minute. I don't think he was poor, but what happened in the game was the style of game, the back and forth nature of the game, exposed him in certain duels. As you said, Elliot, and you said repeatedly when we played Chelsea, they've got good running power in the centre of their pitch. And I don't care who you are, if you get good running power around a single DM, there's going to be a problem. So maybe the real issue was them not having John Stones, the extra guy to step in there, 6'3", that can move and work the ball and create a central presence. You replace that with other people, and suddenly Rodri looks a little bit stretched. If you have extreme pace in the wide areas, Kyle Walker looked a bit stretched. Raheem Sterling was outstanding. If Walker's getting stretched, then Diaz is getting stretched. You see what I mean? It doesn't take much. When we're looking at our own team, and we're trying to discover the balance that we all want to see, there are people developing in our own structure and heroes developing that maybe we should talk about a little bit more today. Yeah,
and even more credit to Chelsea, as much as it pains me to say it, to pull that result out going down to 10 men at the 64th minute. So I just think that makes the comeback that much more enjoyable. And if people are rewinding their podcast playing device to hear what I said because they don't remember that, I realized there was so much that happened in the game. You may have missed it. It was the 64th minute when Mudryk came on. So yeah, that's again, like playing with 10 men, as he was absolute trash, because he is an absolute trash player. And yeah, by the way, agenda, like never ever going to end. Never going to give you up. Never going to let you down. Anywho, so yeah, all in all, pretty good. And it's interesting because I can't remember if it was the instant reaction of the main pod or it may have been both after we lost to Newcastle, where I was pretty proud of the way we played while being frustrated with the lack of creation, obviously like everybody else. But I said, the panic or the angst coming out of this game, I didn't feel was warranted. And I said, if you look at our next 4 games, if you look at our next 4 fixtures in the league, I think we will be top of the table or thereabouts after the next 4. I really believe that, looking at what the other clubs had coming and looking at how we were playing. And, the reason I felt that was our next 4 were Burnley, Brentford, Wolves, and Luton. And really, it basically took one game, because the results we've gotten and the way things have gone since then, I know we are a point behind City, but it is now Arsenal, City, and Liverpool right there, 28 points for City, 27 for Arsenal and Liverpool. And I just think you look at how we played. We have the meanest defense in the league. We've played without critical players in the attacking third, and that's the piece that still has to click. But we play some serious grown-up football that makes it very hard for other teams to get into the game, except when we gift them ways into the game, obviously, which we should maybe cut out. But all in all, a really good, fun weekend of football. And with that, we can turn our attentions to the Arsenal Vision portion of the Arsenal Vision post-match podcast. But let's be honest, a bit of a nothing game in the sense that we did the job. We did it professionally. We did it without much to do. I mean, I know we were pegged back to 1-1, and it could have been nervy. Let's be honest, it could have been. But all in all, it was a really good performance. Another comfortable victory on XG. Another, I think, controlled performance that maybe lacked a sparkle in attack. But you look at it, no Ben White in this game. Maybe just hasn't been himself. And I think what Mikel said was really interesting. With Ben, you got to watch him really carefully because he gives nothing away with injury. He won't let you know he's carrying something. He wants to play through everything. And they picked up on something and they had to take him out. I love that idea that, Ben's walking around with a gash in his thigh or his hamstring hanging out of his back, and he's hiding it. He's got it taped up. I'm fine, boss. I'm fine. It's just a flesh wound, like the Monty Python sketch. So yeah, no Ben White, no Odegaard, no Gabriel Jesus, obviously. Still no Thomas Partey, still no Durian Timber. I think all in all, to still be able to go out there and play the way we play just shows the consistency of our football. And there were some really, really interesting performances in this game that we'll come on to. But Clive, the one thing that I wanted to ask you about right off the top with the lineup, and I don't think it bodes well for Fabio Vieira, but we're playing Burnley at home, and we're missing some key players, and we know we're probably going to have a lot of the ball in the attacking third, but we still opted to play 2 6s. You know, we went for a midfield of Jorginho, who's playing every 3 days now, Rice, and Kai. And we had the option to maybe give Jorginho a day off. You know, at his age, playing as much as he does, believe me, I know you get out of bed at this age and the knees don't feel right, the back doesn't feel right. Jorginho, I feel you. I know what it's like. He could have gone with like Rice, Vieira, and Kai. Or, you know, he could have opted for 2 8s. He opted for 2 6s. What do you think of the decision to go with the lineup we went with and maybe not opt for what you might consider a slightly more attacking selection against a team that has looked very vulnerable?
You and your attacking selections.
Well, I mean, so, if I'm Fabio Vieira, I would have wanted to start that game.
Mate, get more defenders on that pitch. You know what I'm like. But basically, from watching the last 2 games live this week, it's become clear to me that my previous Jorginho sort of natural biases when we have a transition game, you can see him running behind like John Inman with his arms flapping, can't catching the ball up. Basically, I've thrown them away. I've thrown them away because he's the captain. He's the Odegaard replacement. He's the coach on the pitch. So Arteta wants one of those in his team that he can talk through. He can talk through adjustments, understands the game at a deeper level. Odegaard does that every single week. When Odegaard's not there, Jorginho's the guy. So forget what you think about his position. He's running the show. He literally is. And so it's more than just a football decision. It's up to us to make sure we manage the space around him. And that's where Tomiyasu has come in recent weeks, helped on the transition, on the defensive transition, shall we say, and he's given a level of security there. And that's why Zinchenko hasn't played. So we're playing Burnley. I think the lowest scorers in the league, potentially. Well, they're definitely down the bottom of the league. And so we went for Zinchenko, given the fact that Ben White was probably carrying 4 ACLs and a hamstring, as you said earlier, right? So and that was a little bit worry for me. You know, I'll be honest with you. I with my pragmatic nature, I'd have gone Kiwior just for the extra solidity, but totally understand it. And given the fact that Zinchenko had 1 million touches, it was definitely the right decision to have. Right, so I was fine with it. I think with Trossard, the way he moves so much, to have another mover around him, but that offers a physicality that Jesus and Eddie offer us, we can't take out all the physicality in that top line. Do you see what I mean? And so Havertz then becomes into that top line. He becomes one of the front 2 in our 4-4-2 press. And then, of course, he can take his position off of Trossard. He can drive into the box. And it's more of a natural, clear thinking position for him. So Vieira could have played, but I think we wouldn't have offered enough of a target, enough of a balance in our front group. So made sense to me, Elliot. That's not just hindsight, just looking at the pitch. You can't have all Diddy men there.
Yeah, I see that point. I'm, again, not sure Fabio Vieira would see that point, although he did not spend much time on the pitch when he did get his chance. So that's another story altogether. Paul, your thoughts on my ridiculous nonsense about playing a more quote-unquote attacking lineup?
Yeah, well, I think it's ridiculous nonsense, to be quite honest. I'm going to come at you like a tiger cat. Okay. I'm going to...
Tigers are cats. That's redundant.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You need like to let them
frog
know
amphibian.
That. Is it? Is it really, Elliot?
Yes. Please
I don't think it is.
Carry on.
I'll come at you about that like a piranha later on, but for now,
a piranha fish.
Yeah, just like a piranha fish. Yeah, look, I think you're full of it, Elliot. Mm-hmm. If you're Arteta and you're playing Burnley, you're not wondering, oh, Fabio Vieira, is this the game or not? He thinks, and I think, that Jorginho and Rice is a thing. Sometimes you have Thomas Partey in your lineup and available for selection. Very often you don't. I think he thinks Jorginho and Rice is a thing. And he looks at this game and he says, well, I need Rice to develop into the attacking 8 that we want and need. I don't think he's spending a lot of time worrying about Vieira. And he needs somebody to cover for Odegaard. He wants Havertz to be a guy who can step into that spot. And like, we're better as a game. He's not spending any cycles. Fabio Vieira needs to take his place on the pitch. It's not up to, I don't think it's any particular reflection on the lay of the land, apart from Fabio Vieira hasn't done enough to clarify he deserves to be starting here. And so I don't think it's about attacking lineups. I don't think it's about playing two sixes. It's clear that Rice is to be a 6 and an 8. Of course, we think he'll be a world-class number 6, but he needs to be at least as good as Xhaka and better as an 8, as an option. And I think the idea was to have lots of technical players in the middle of the pitch. They mix it around and get at him. You look like you want to say something, Elliot. I've done you wrong, have I?
No, I agree with that principally. I think one thing that's actually worth noting, I said against a team like Burnley, that's quite open. The fact is, Burnley have not played this deep all season. This is not traditionally how they play. We push them back, but they are a team that likes to come at you. They actually tried to press the first 5 minutes. It lasted about 5 minutes, and then they just got pushed right back in their defensive third, like everyone who plays us. It's possible that Mikel was expecting more of a middle third battle with them coming at us and us, having to win the battle more in midfield than break down a low block, which I can understand. I guess I would say it like this. I believe if Martin Odegaard was fit, and we can't prove this, you just can't prove a hypothetical, but this is my hypothesis. If Odegaard was fit, I think our midfield would have been Rice, Odegaard, and Kai Havertz. And I don't want to go too deep on this now. There'll be time during the interlull to go over this, and I have this flagged as a question about squad members and things. But I think Fabio Vieira not starting a game like this is sort of a not great indication. Also, how Lady left it to even bring him on in a game like this. I think, if you're Fabio Vieira and you're a 35 million, skillful attacking midfield player who's now been here over a year, this is a game you'd target to play. And I think if you're not getting picked in games like this, and instead a 44-year-old Jorginho is getting trotted out for the 10th time in 2 weeks, so that you can play two sort of sixes, in the absence of your real number 10, Martin Odegaard, I don't think it's an awesome sign for Vieira. I'll put it that way, right? I'm not necessarily saying the lineup. Yeah. So I'm not saying the lineup wasn't attacking enough. I mean, we scored 3 goals and we won comfortably. It's fine. I'm saying more that I think if Vieira was a player Mikel really had confidence in, this would be exactly the game you'd pick a player like that, looking at what your options are to break down the defense. Paul, you want to finish on that thought?
Yeah, so it's really interesting. Arteta was into getting Jorginho for the Jorginho role, and City wants him. And you say he's 44 years old, and I don't know if that's factually correct, but is he any slower than he used to be? I mean, I think he's basically the same player. So I think Arteta probably loves Jorginho, even at this stage in his career, as long as the setup around him protects him enough and protects us enough. So I think Rice and Jorginho is a thing. Yeah. But I agree with you on Fabio Vieira. From his standpoint, bad. From everybody else's standpoint, I don't think it really reflects on anything in particular. I do think there's a fascinating discussion to be had about the Havertz substitution on around the 60-minute mark that I'm looking forward to having.
Yes, that is an interesting one. So Clive, there wasn't a lot happening in this game. It really fell very quickly into the traditional formula we've seen of a team being pushed way back, but us maybe going around the houses a bit, maybe playing with our foot a bit. There was a snapshot that Saka took from a ball that was loose in the box, brilliantly saved. There were just a number of situations where we got the ball into what I thought was maybe a threatening space and didn't quite figure out what to do with it from there. One thing I noticed in the way that we're playing, Clive, teams are getting so deep that the fullbacks and the center backs are really almost playing the role that a Thomas Partey or an Odegaard were playing a season ago. And it was Saliba, Zinchenko, and Tomiyasu who were sort of tasked with finding the hurtful ball to get it into a dangerous space. I mean, Saliba, again, absolutely imperious. He scores a goal. He cleans up the one dangerous moment that they had, apart from the one where they actually scored, obviously. He had a million passes at 96% again. Zinchenko, obviously, I think he had double the progressive passes, double the penalty box entries, double the final third entries of anybody else. Tomiyasu, it's a fine-ish performance. I think I'd like to see him do better on the goal. Some people say it's a foul. Some people would say it wasn't. For me, I don't want that given a foul, personally. I think we're giving penalties away and fouls away too easily. So I think that's one that I'd like to not see a foul because, 2 hands in the back in the box, like, just play on. But all kidding aside, like, what do you think of that dynamic and the fact that our defenders now are really almost becoming our playmakers in the attacking third because of how deep the low blocks are sitting?
Yeah, so again, I'll say again, we have to remove last season from our analysis because we're a different team and people are looking at us differently. So we're watching Spurs and Chelsea at the moment and they're all gung-ho and everyone's playing them because they haven't got a big enough sample size of who they are. Everyone's got a big sample size of who we were last year. And we were the second best team. And maybe, if you want to believe it, and I'm starting to believe it, we were very close to being the best team if we didn't have an injury to a very key player in the centre-back area for the last 10, 11 games. So everyone can see how we play now, how we want to play. And a lot of the principles are on show in this game from both teams. I mean, watching Burnley was almost like watching a mirror image of us. Very similar off the ball shape, how they moved the ball, how they used their goalkeeper. I mean, it's really funny. There was a corner and the two managers sat down, Company and Arteta, and the two set-piece coaches stood up. And I've never seen that before. We know what our set-piece coach does. That means that they have very similar principles about how they run a game, what their game model is, who they give responsibility to in certain phases of the game in their coaching staff. It's very, very similar. And Burnley were really well organised. And so when you're well organised, you're forced to adjust. And sometimes people, we all want to follow certain Twitter accounts that analyse games, etc., to see to validate what we've seen. And people say things like, oh, this has happened, that's happened. Sometimes it's just a game. Sometimes it's just a space that's on offer. Sometimes it's your opponent's tucked in and you've got space to run into. So why not move forward? You can't stand there doing nothing because normally the last game you stood there. You know what I mean? We're all looking for a spare man. We're all looking for an overload. Sometimes they leave certain people free. Like in basketball, we're going to get beat by that guy. Let's see what he's got in his feet. But we're going to mark all his passes. We're going to mark all his targets. And so he's now got to do something, carry the ball. When he carries the ball stupidly, we can take it off him, we can counter on him. It's just a game of football sometimes. And that's why it's wonderful because every game looks different. I was really impressed with Burnley. Not afraid of them, but really impressed with their structure and where they're going and how they move the ball and what they're trying to do. Far better than the 5-0 Sheffield United. Far better than that. And there have been other teams that played a lot less football against us, and they deserved their goal. They really did. And as I said earlier, what we're achieving right now is really, really strong because we're achieving it with 6-7 people out of the team. So we can't even assess this team. And I mentioned the word heroes earlier on, and there are 2 or 3 heroes that have appeared in the last few weeks that we are going to remember. Tomiyasu, Trossard, and Jorginho. Maybe not in our ideal first 11, but they literally have been critical to our points accumulation over the last few weeks. And if it wasn't for a dodgy situation with a handball at Chelsea and a dodgy situation at Newcastle, which I'm emotionally just getting over, the points accumulation would be even better. So yeah. I do think we need to just have a little breath and say what we're achieving right now without our key people is really, really strong.
Yeah, the table looks pretty good, and we're doing it overcoming all the stuff that was the excuses the last 2 seasons for why the season fell apart. The exact kind of quote-unquote crisis we're going through right now with injury to start this season is the exact kind of thing that derailed our title challenge last season and our top 4 challenge the season before that. And I think if you look at the distance we've traveled, not last season, not the season before that, we're sitting in the relegation zone at Christmas. 1 season on, we're challenging for top 4. 1 season on from that, we're on a 100-point pace challenging for a title. And 1 season on from that, we're playing the most dominant, controlling football in the league, regardless of whether our players are available or not. And we're breezing through Champions League groups. The distance we've traveled in a short space of time is really incredible. And what's also incredible is the way we're playing with such maturity with a very young team still. I mean, I know Jorginho has experience, but you look at the guy leading the back line, it's William Saliba. He's young. You look at the wingers responsible for firing on the attack. They're young. right? You look at some of the players that are really making these big contributions, and they're young guys. I mean, even Raya, who I know has been dividing opinion, really important save in this game. I think that early save on Goodmanson, I don't know. Anyway, good save. And so, yeah, I agree. The thing that I think is really impressive, and that's, it's, I gave Mikel Arteta a stock rising in the instant reaction. The reason I gave it to him is because I said, even though I don't think anyone sparkled in this game per se, you took so many important Jenga pieces out of the tower, and the tower didn't fall. We still played the exact kind of football we've been playing all season. I'd say, well, that's the problem. It wasn't dynamic enough. Okay, that's fair. I do think the dynamism in the final third is most influenced by personnel of all the things in football, right? That's the part where the individuals have to do the job. But in terms of control, dominance, ball winning, it was incredible. But I do want to call out a performance, Paul, that I think we should get onto right away, which is Zinchenko. And the reason I want to get on Zinchenko's performance is not just that it was really good, but that I think Zinchenko is a tough player for some people. There are clear concerns, I think, in general among Arsenal supporters about the vulnerability we have with Zinchenko and his defensive qualities. Now, some of his defensive qualities I think are excellent. I think he's better for headers than you'd expect. He anticipates well. I think when we're in a defensive block, when he's isolated on a wing, not ideal. You saw late in the game, he got run by and it was offside, slightly offside, but he kind of fell asleep on his man ghosting him behind him. But you look at the volume of passes, the final third entries, the way he enables our attack, especially in the absence of a Partey and Odegaard, who are usually, more of the progressive passing guys. And then that goal, look, if we don't get a third goal, this is a chance to be a very, very nervy finish. This is a Fulham-esque or a Palace-esque kind of finish. Because at 2-1, at 10 men, that's nervousness we didn't need. And that goal, that karate kick goal, is unbelievable execution. The skill and the technique required for that. So what's your take on Zinchenko and this feeling that we need more solidity there, potentially, but we lose so much when we take his qualities out of the team?
Yeah. This was a game where you're laughing at, Clive. We came at them from the wings, right? We stretched the pitch. They sat deep. Saka, I thought, was great in this game. And it's not till, I think the nerviness of watching it when we haven't scored yet, the frustration of that first half, the frustration of the fact that we couldn't really get anything going centrally, takes away from the fact that I think Saka was great in the first half. He tortured them that side. And as the game went on, Martinelli tortured them from the other side. And especially in the early second half, Martinelli absolutely took them to the woodshed on that side. And so we had this stuff going on the sides, but the whole key to this game was hurting them through the middle. And I think the frustration with Zinchenko is people saw him putting his foot on the ball, slowing it down, moving it from side to side. And I think all of that was a process. And maybe this is narrative in hindsight, but I felt it at the time. We were trying to pry them through the middle, to open up the wings, to move it around. We couldn't just go from, we were banging in some crosses. We really mixed it up. But the stuff through the middle, Zinchenko was switching to the right-hand side. He was in the penalty box on the right-hand side. He was moving around. He was basically teasing and prying and poking away. And it's almost like that kind of thing might impact your ability to concentrate as you tire mentally through a game. I think that this was basically a collection of torturers moving Burnley around, opening up gaps. Most of it didn't work in the first half, or it felt to us like it didn't. But it was actually beginning to move them around, loosen them up. I think there's two sides to the Zinchenko performance. The first is, I think he was key to how we prize them, how we probe them through the middle with Trossard, a clever technical player, not doing much early on, it felt. But all of that movement, all of that teasing, I think, starts to build up on the team. And that's why you start to see these slips later on as the game went on. The second aspect is, Arteta's going to look at defense and not say, defense is about how good your left back is or how good your right back is. Defense is about how you control a game most of the time, how you control possession, your shape, when you lose the ball in the attacking third, where we spend most of our time, Zinchenko's really front-footed, really good at pressing, really good at knowing where to be and sensing danger. He's really good at most of what Arteta thinks of. Like, we're probably the best team in the league defensively or thereabouts across world football. We're the best off-the-ball team in terms of shape. We do all that stuff really good, and yet we obsess about how good is he 1v1 as left back, which is something that's only relevant based on game state or late in a game, at which point Arteta wants to swap him off the pitch. But he gives you everything before that. And I think people know that, but they don't warm to it because it just, I don't think I'm saying anything nobody's heard before, but like, we're still learning to understand the game as we watch it. We all are. And like, just because it feels like he's not secure at left back does not mean we're not secure. I mean, these guys had very, very little in this game, and they're very good at playing out through you.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. I mean, the funny thing is, they got a goal, right? So that counts for something because it's a literal goal. So I acknowledge that. They had that one shot, that Raya saved well. And it could feel like this was a bit dangerous, but then you look at it, and the XG in this game was 1.9 for Arsenal to 0.4 for Burnley. I mean, they basically...
What's not to love defensively?
Yeah, I mean, would I like more than 1.9 against Burnley for us? Sure. I mean, there's some game state to that too, which is once you're up 3-1, you're managing it. Plus, we wound up with 10 men for the end of the game. So the thing is, like, sometimes we want to rubbish any criticism of our player. Just that's fans just think that way. Look, let's be clear about this. Clearly, Mikel isn't 100% bought in to Zinchenko's qualities for every game because he has opted to start Tomiyasu over Zinchenko in some games this season. So Mikel acknowledges, in my view, that there are times where his weaknesses are something that Mikel wants to guard against, and other times where his strengths are what he wants to emphasize. It also may be why Timber was bought, to have a player that is more of a little closer to Zinchenko in some of the possession, progression, attacking capabilities, but maybe perceived as being a little more secure. Now, the irony is one of the question marks around Timber coming to us was his defensive capabilities, ironically. But
can I add one thing on that, Elliot? I think we way over-index the fact that Tommy got picked ahead of Zinchenko a couple of times. Okay. We have no idea what the fitness level of Zinchenko is and what he was coming.
Usually not good. So
I've seen a lot of strong opinions on the basis that Arteta has turned away from his love of. I don't believe that for a second. I think Zinchenko is clearly his first choice. Tommy is now in much better form. So, yeah, I agree with you. There may be some games where he prefers Tommy. He prefers that option. But which is fun. That's what we want. We want players fighting for the places. So I'm not rubbishing the fact that Tommy's getting selected. We love he's back with confidence. He's playing well. He's playing from both sides. But I think we should be really careful. Well, we shouldn't be really careful. I suspect we're very wrong in thinking that's a reflection on his view on Zinchenko, that he's not as in love with the Zinchenko thing as he was before. I can't believe that for a second. As soon as Zinchenko's fit and firing, that's his go-to at the moment for most games, apart from a tactical choice from time to time.
An entirely fair analysis, and I can't say whether you're right or you're wrong. Except to say that Tomiyasu's form has allowed Mikel to pick someone else if he needs to or wants to for whatever reason. And that can only make us a stronger team. Clive, do you want to weigh in on Zinchenko before we shift gears?
Yeah, 1 minute. Basically, I think it's just the balance between Zinchenko and Jorginho. I think they're very similar. They're quite light, shall we say, in defensive transitions. And sometimes against a strong opposition, you don't want two of them. So you have one. And given the fact that Partey's got his old rigor mortis in his legs going again, then Jorginho's playing more games than many of us suspected. And so Zinchenko has had to move out for balance. And that's it. And so I totally understand it. And sometimes when I watch this game, and Paul, I was one of those people that was thinking, "You're having too many touches, mate. You're having too many touches." I actually said it, and I was thinking that. No drama, really. Just a feeling in the game. It doesn't mean he should be fired out of a gun. Just a feeling in the game. And sometimes I look at Zinchenko and Jorginho, and I'm not sure who's in charge of our base. Because they're very similar ball dominant players. But to have two of them dictating the game, making sure we're in the right places, moving the ball central. We're not talking about centrality today, are we? Moving the ball central. It's all good. I worried when that Goodmanson went through and Zinchenko was running back in our last line. And I knew he wasn't going to catch him. Of course I worry about that because I'm a fan, right? But on this day, he had a significant impact. And that's the way you respond to maybe sitting down a couple of weeks. You come in and you get on the ball, you do your thing. And he's done it. He's played a lot of personality.
Yeah. I'll tell you this, though, there's no way I play Vieira. Coming back to the Vieira topic, there's no way I play Vieira, Zinchenko, and Jorginho in that area of the pitch. You got to play Rice in there somewhere. So,
yeah, that is certainly a combination that could leave you, that could leave you feeling vulnerable and maybe a factor. I think in general, we probably need to. As we go through the season, if teams are going to sit this deep, and maybe this will be fixed by getting Jesus back and getting Odegaard back, things like that, I do think we need to find that little ball between the lines into the half space, top of the box area to our right 8 or to our left 8 or to our center forward that we're not currently finding. I don't think we can keep doing this thing where we just go out to Martinelli or out to Saka and ask them to do something against two men or go back to the fullback. If you look at who had the most touches in this game, it's Saliba, Zinchenko, and Tomiyasu. And in the attacking phase, I really feel that they were the ones trying to unpick the lock. And while I think they all have the skill to potentially do it, I'd rather it be Odegaard doing it or Jesus doing it or Havertz or Vieira.
Really?
Yes, well, yeah.
But,
I think they're more capable players.
You got to be deep. You got to be a line further back. That's literally what Zinchenko was in the game for, what he did all the time. It didn't work in the first half in the sense that all they did was it worked in the sense that it pulled in their shape and they got more and more compact and they sat in the middle. So our wingers got to torture them on the edges and we had to bang in some crosses and eventually they got stressed and tired. But look at the number of passes that Zinchenko, Jorginho and the other guys banged into the middle to Trossard, to Havertz, to Saka, who was moving into those spaces. I think that was literally the plan to kind of loosen it up. I mean,
yeah, maybe I just saw it wrong or saw it differently because, and Clive, I want to get your thoughts on this quickly. I felt like in the first half, for example, there were a lot of times when Tomiyasu had the ball, in that sort of inverted right back space. Sometimes Zinchenko had the ball in the right back space. He was all over the place, but and Kai is sort of top of the box, and Saka's out on the wing, and Trossard's top of the box, and Tomiyasu is very willing to either just go back to Saliba or go back to Saka on the wing. And that sometimes I wonder, is this an instruction? Are these players being told not to lose the ball in the middle? So be more careful, more cautious about playing that interior pass. Because I don't necessarily think, to Paul's point, he's like, we got that ball into that central space. Or you said centrality wasn't an issue in this game. I'm not sure I totally agree. I don't think we got the ball to the feet of that next line of players so that they could combine. Right.
My point was that we tried to. We pinged, it got cut out loads of times. That was the play which pulled them in, but it also stressed them. They got tired. They lost concentration. It didn't come off most of the time. And the thing, sorry to jump in, Clive, but the thing about losing the ball and risk, we're fine losing the ball there because we've got our rest defense. Zinchenko's in shape. Georgina, that's turnover central. Havertz is a specialist at that. The Saka shot, I think the one off his right foot, we lose the ball twice playing it centrally, and that's why it pops to Saka in a space that he can have a pop. I mean, it's not that we're trying to lose the ball centrally. We're totally fine coughing up the ball because it's bouncing to one of our guys. I think it was absolutely the plan to bang it up the middle there. Clever players making moves. It just didn't come off till it did.
Yeah, if you look at pass combinations, Tomiyasu to Saliba 22 times, Tomiyasu to Jorginho 15 times, Tomiyasu to Saka 11 times, Tomiyasu to Havertz 5. He played twice to Trossard. I saw the game.
But Havertz has 4 players standing around him, and a whole bunch of those passes were cut out. That is very much my point.
Okay. I think we're making the same point, which is we're just simply not finding.
Well, we're not. Players. I'm saying we were doing it, but it was getting cut out. You're saying we weren't doing it.
Well, we didn't do it. He tried it 5 times. So I don't know
if
he
tried it.
5 times.
Those are successful passes.
Well, we'll fix it in post. Clive, what do you think? I think it's not again. I do think that there is a bit more caution in our game, that we go around the houses a bit, that we are willing to go to the wide players. And I don't know if it's personnel. Xhaka at the left 8 obviously had a really clear understanding of how to receive the ball. Odegaard at the right 8. We know about Odegaard, but maybe you haven't seen his best form this season. Jesus, he knows how to show his boots. He knows how to drop in and combine. We're missing those combination players between the line, and the ball winds up out wide. I think that first half, we were very patient, if you want to put it that way, or you could say we were not very incisive. So I'm curious how you see that.
Yeah, I looked at Burnley and I thought they were really good. I said to the guys sitting next to me, I said, how comes when everyone comes in, they play their best game? That's how it felt like, Because you look at Burnley's results, I'm thinking, well, I can't see this team. Where's this team? They're getting beat by Palace and they're getting beat by Bournemouth. You're thinking, where is this team? When we come to play us, they bring out their Sunday best. They shuffled across that pitch really, really well. And I'll be honest with you, I felt we played okay to good. And I felt we played in a way based on what they gave us. And so my overall feeling was, I didn't come away thinking we made an approach mistake. Do you know what I mean? I didn't think, we could have moved the ball quicker. I was a bit worried about Zinchenko, which I said, But again, he wasn't doing anything wrong. He was just looking to probe. He was looking to probe, looking to problem solve. This team created us a problem. They moved really, really well side to side. They had a couple of people in wide areas, particularly left winger. I can't remember his name now, Koliotru or something like that. It was really, really fast.
Koliasio.
Really,
he was really fast, really good.
Really fast. And they tried to spring into wide areas. And I was quite impressed with their shape. And we really stood there like an adult team and tried to probe it. We clipped it over the top on occasions. We went central on occasions. We went wide on occasions. It didn't always work, but I didn't look and think, we're not seeing the team we're playing against. We're not trying to do things. So when we played Chelsea, I was not happy with our offensive approach. I didn't think we saw the game on offer until it was too late. We didn't see the opposition that was getting on top of us. And it was obvious to me with their backline, we had to get to their backline quickly. We didn't do that. And I was very vociferous about that. In this game, it was like, mate, this is all right. Of course, I wanted to go for half time and we just about got it. But it was coming. We were going to problem solve this. There wasn't a problem. And if anything, I was really impressed with the patience and the alignment of thinking about how to approach them. And I've complained about I think we are a very collective team. So we're collective attack, collective defense. We do things by committee. And I know you're going to get onto Trossard, but I do think his ability and wisdom just to move onto the angle, to receive, create relationships. It's just wonderful to see. It doesn't always have to be bombastic like the 4-4 we saw on Sunday, because that just wasn't the day. That day will come. It will come, and we will be ready for it. But right now, on this day, I thought we approached it in the right way. Burnley deserved their goal. And then when they scored, we said, yeah, let's go. And everything went up a notch, and it was done within a few minutes, it felt like. So I was quite pleased with it.
Okay. I think we can move on from that. I'll leave it with this, though. If you look at over the course of this season, we attempt 19.7 crosses per game on average. The most in the league is 22.7. And in this game, we attempted, I believe it was 32. Yeah, 32 crosses. So they packed the middle. We got it wide. I think it would be good if we were better at cross. I mean, sometimes crossing isn't a bad thing. I think our crosses need to be better in general, but cutbacks and crosses, like they can be a really powerful way to score. I think you've always called this out, Clive. You want to go in to go out, right? That's how you create that space in the box. Go in to go out. And so, I think that there's something to that, but ultimately, the dominance of the game is clear. It's just a question of how do we make sure that we create enough against these teams that sit deep? I think 1.9 expected goals in this game, like you'd say, we scored 3 goals, just about good enough, not too much to worry about. A lot of it came off corners, right? We were very dangerous corners. And one of the things I don't like is this thing people do where they sort of hand wave things that aren't open play. I know you want to be dangerous from open play, but I can't remember the rule that says goals scored from set pieces don't count. You know what I mean? Like, that's actually where coaching matters. So credit to our coaches. We've been an excellent team from set plays. And that is something you can leverage. And when you're going to have a lot of territorial dominance, you're going to create a lot of corners. And if you're really good from corners, your territorial dominance is going to turn into goals. So it's good. I think we should talk Kai, talk Leo, a little bit about the Vieira red card, and just a quick look ahead and where we are in the season. So obviously, though, it would be, I think it'd be irresponsible of me. Irresponsible is the word that
remiss.
Remiss and irresponsible. I'd be remiss in my duties and irresponsible if I didn't tell you about great brands that are going to change your life before we go into that. So let's do that now. All right, I'll be honest. When I looked at the ads that were lined up for today, it reminded me of an English lit syllabus from university. So I apologize. I'm going to go quick, but we're settle in, strap in, just relax, pour yourself a drink, do whatever you got to do. You know what? If you're using this time to get through your commute or walking the dog or going to the gym, like, it's, we're just extending the time. We're getting you through it. So here we go. First things first, AG1. Remember, you can go to Drink AG1. That's their new website, drinkag1.com/vision, drinkag1.com/vision. What is AG1? AG1 is 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole foods, source superfoods. AG1 is about health. It is about recovery. It is about adaptogens, probiotics. I started taking AG1 for gut health. That was my reason for taking it. In the morning, in some water, drink it down, tastes great. And like, ultimately, help me get off the coffee a little bit, because I probably drink just a touch too much coffee. So I was able to tone that down. Designed by athletes for athletes. So if you are trying to get fit, get rid of all the gummy, sugary vitamins and switch to AG1. It is keto-friendly, paleo-friendly, vegan, dairy-free, all that. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/vision. That's drinkag1.com/vision. Now, we are proud to talk to you about HelloFresh. HelloFresh is farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. All right, you can skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Make it your #1 meal kit. I think there's so many reasons to try this. Look, you want to eat healthier. You want your family to eat healthier. You want to cut down on the delivery. You want to cut down on the fast food. You want to cut down on maybe eating the same thing over and over again. That was a problem for me. I just wound up picking up the same thing every night for dinner, and you're not getting variety in your nutrition. With HelloFresh, you get all the ingredients ready to go. It can be very easy to make a meal. 15-minute meals make it easy. Choose from over 45 weekly recipes and 100 curated picks from the HelloFresh market. So this is a way to get healthier, get good meals that are easy to make, that fit your budget, that give you that variety. So go to HelloFresh.com/ArsenalVision free and use code ArsenalVision free for free breakfast for life. 1 breakfast item per box while the subscription is active. That's free breakfast for life at HelloFresh.com/ArsenalVision free with code ArsenalVision free. And we talk about mental health, the importance of mental health. Obviously, Burnley have a player that recently came out talking about his mental health and stepping away from the game for the benefit of his mental health. And if mental health is something that you want to get focused on and maybe haven't in the past, this podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. BetterHelp isn't online therapy. It's just therapy that happens to be online. Access to therapy that's affordable. Access to therapy that doesn't mean you have to get in your car and drive and go find it. Access to therapy where you can find a specialist that covers the need that you have, the specific need that you have, and you can start working on your mind, because we work on our body with our nutrition and our workouts and going to doctors. We don't work on our mind, and that doesn't make any sense. Don't wait till it's a crisis. Do it now and become a more effective person. Or if you are finding yourself slipping into a difficult time, seek out the help you need. And maybe you can find that with BetterHelp. Find your bright spot this season with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/vision today and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/vision. Do it now. Now, I would love to say that we are done. We are not done, but bear with me. We're going to get there. I promise. The next thing I need to tell you about is Shopify. Shopify is basically like the best way to build a website where you're going to sell anything. It's simply that straightforward. You make professional looking websites. The first thing someone needs if they're going to buy from your website is they need to think that it's professional. These look professional. You can sell on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, on Twitter or X or whatever the heck they're calling it these days. You can, they take care of the checkout. They take care of taxes. They take care of the shipping calculations. So all you have to focus on is being the best at making the product and getting your product out there to the world. Shopify is the backbone of all e-commerce. In fact, Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the US. Think about that. And Shopify is a global force behind Allbirds, Rothy's, Brookline, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across 175 countries. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/ArsenalVision, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/ArsenalVision, all lowercase, now to grow your business no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/ArsenalVision. Now, we're going to tell you about Nord. NordVPN wants you to remember that it is Movember. Movember is a month to celebrate and remember and give to causes related to men's health issues like prostate cancer, testicular cancer, things like that. So if you want to contribute, you have the chance to do that at Nord, as they will be doing so as well. Nord is number one VPN I've ever used. There's an app on your computer. There's an app on your phone. Very simple. You click connect and you're in the region you want to browse in. You can watch Match of the Day if you're not there. Or when you're traveling outside the country, you can VPN back and watch all the football or watch your Netflix or whatever you want. They also have threat protection. So you make sure that threats don't get on your computer before they even try. You can also protect your privacy. No one should know where you're browsing, what you're browsing. Nord protects you with that. This one's really easy. Go to nordvpn.com/ArsenalVision, right? nordvpn.com/ArsenalVision and get a bonus 4 months for free. It's completely risk-free with a 30-day money-back guarantee. 4 months for free, okay? 4 bonus months on top. 4 additional months for free. Go to nordvpn.com/ArsenalVision, nordvpn.com/ArsenalVision. And last, but certainly not least, if you want to build the best business, you need the best talent. And the way to get the best talent is to go with Indeed. Indeed is the one hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. I've said this a million times. It makes no sense to go on 400 websites, monitoring them, writing the copy, checking the applicants. Just use one. With Instant Match, over 80% of employers get quality candidates whose resume on Indeed matches their job description the moment they sponsor a job, according to Indeed data in the US. Okay? Even better, Indeed's the only job site where you only pay for the applications that meet your must-have requirements. Pay for what you're asking for. Join more than 3 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Start hiring now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/BlueWireSports. Offer good for a limited time. Claim your $75 credit now at Indeed.com/BlueWireSports. Just go to Indeed.com/BlueWireSports and support the show by saying you heard about it on this podcast. Indeed.com/BlueWireSports. Terms and conditions apply. You need to hire. You need Indeed. Clive. Is that enough of that?
Indeed.
Okay. So, well, let's get the, I think, statutorily required Kai Havertz conversation out of the way really quickly. Paul, you said you wanted to mention this, so let's just mention it.
Yeah.
He comes off of 59 minutes. I saw Clive's tweet. His tweet was, "There's a goal in this for Havertz." That's my tweet. There was narrator voice, extreme narrator voice. There was no goal in this for Kai Havertz, unfortunately. He did have a header that I thought was a bit poor. But other than that, someone in Discord said this, Paul, and I think it's actually really, really perfect. I wish I could remember who, so I apologize. Kai does the 80% of the stuff that's like the Shaq type role really pretty well. The combining, the laying it off, the hustling back, the recovering the ball, the pressing. But that 20% of the job that he was bought for, get in the box and make a difference in the box, that's the stuff where he's been really dreadful, unfortunately. And that's the stuff people really notice. The shooting power, the quickness of his feet, the heading execution, the in the box stuff isn't working, and it just stands out. What do you think about the fact that Havertz comes off here? Because I had conflicting feelings. I'll just tell you this. On the one hand, you could say it's not a great sign for Havertz. To me, there was a bit of, if I don't get Fabio Vieira on here for a half hour, when the heck am I going to give Fabio his minutes? You know what I mean? So it could have been a more, I need to give Fabio time thing than I need to get Kai off. But what's your take on that sub, the timing and the way it reflects on the players?
Well, it can't be that because they just scored. And
good point. He lined it up right as they equalized to 1-1. You're exactly right. That's true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Good point.
And then we score and we go 2-1 up. And in the gap, we're lining up to bring Havertz on. And there's no way you bring Havertz on for...
Off.
Sorry, Havertz off. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. There's no way you bring Havertz off. There's no way you make that sub just then for some predetermined philosophical point, some experiment, some higher... You bring on the guy and you bring off the guy that you think can impact the score most effectively coming up. You're now at 1-1 with Burnley at home, having pretty much dominated but not got the opportunities you want. So here's the fascinating thing in the and I felt it at the time in the whatever it is 15 minutes. Is that right? 15 minutes till the sub basically. Saka touched the ball twice. Havertz touched the ball something like twice, 3 times. Meanwhile, Martinelli, Zinchenko, Trossard, even Jorginho, Rice are all on the left-hand side playing rondos, absolutely causing a storm, coming at them. Now, maybe it's just the way the ball broke in those 15 minutes, but the right side disappeared and the left side became totally dominant, which was fine. It got us corners, it got us goals, but like it just disappeared out of the game. And maybe Arteta said, look, those guys, that sucks over there and that's Havertz's fault. Or he just said, I got to stir something up and I need it from that side. But he yanked Havertz on 60 minutes at a critical point in the game where he needed to turn things up. And that was felt like a bit of either a damning indictment or the manager saying, oh, it doesn't seem to be happening on that side this day. So here we go. Roll my dice, get on Vieira, a guy who can play triangles on the right-hand side. I didn't think our triangles were great on the right side all day. I think Saka had to do a lot of work on his own. Havertz, I thought, started brightly for about 10 minutes. I told you in the instant reaction, I had this one written down as ripe for a Havertz stock rising or stock falling if he didn't do the thing. And he just really struggled to impact this game. And I think it's the verdict. In the second half, the manager said, I don't think this guy's going to impact the game, despite the fact that actually should have been a great time for Havertz to kick in and make stuff happen. But he got yanked, and I think it spoke volumes.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing I would say is if you're playing on the right-hand side and you have no expected assisted goals, right? You have one shot creating. I mean, you're playing on Saka's side. To create next to nothing is not a great sign. Do you guys want to hear an unbelievable stat, by the way, that I think summarizes the difference between Trossard and Nketiah at center forward? Because this is pretty wild, okay? And I think this sort of summarizes how we use that player and that position. So Eddie Nketiah, for the entire season, okay, for the entire season, 9 starts, 13 matches played, 769 minutes, has 0.2 expected assisted goals. Right? You with me? 0.2. In this game, Trossard had 0.7. Like, to me, you know what I mean? That sort of summarizes the difference in how we think about the roles of those players. And I think it's so interesting. And if you look at Kai, again, have 0 expected assisted goals from the right-hand number 8 position where you're playing alongside Saka, you know, it is a question of what you give. And I'll throw this over to you, Clive, with this transition, which is, I think it is also telling, by the way, that sub was lined up at 1-1. At 1-1, you got to score. You're in chase the game mode. You can't be 1-1 with Burnley at home. And instead of taking off one of our 6s, we took off one of our 8s. You know, to my point earlier, we didn't take off Jorginho or Rice and go to Vieira and Havertz. We took off Havertz for Vieira. We went like for like. And I think that is, you know, a bit telling too. But what do you think of this Havertz thing where like he can do the build-up-y stuff, but it's all the stuff we think we bought him for in the box that's just not coming off at all, you know?
Yeah, he can do a lot of stuff. And then what you have to do is find out what it is you want from him on a certain day and what's blocking him from executing. And so for me, there is I don't think talent's an issue. People say, you know, he's been fading for a while now, but I've seen him have talented moments in games. And so I don't think talent's an issue. So for me, I do think personality might be an issue. There was a moment in this game when Rice won the ball, popped it to him. He's running in on the edge of the D. There's a left foot shot there for him. You can see it. Odegaard style, you know. Left to right, bottom corner job. Similar to Spurs, similar to Newcastle. It's there for you, son. Take the shot. He pops it off to Trossard. Behind him, Trossard has to come back, shake and bake, left foot shot, goalkeeper tips it over. Havertz needs to take that shot. He didn't feel comfortable taking that shot. So when he doesn't feel comfortable taking that shot, Elliot then looks at said data and doesn't see anything there for him. But really, it's a personality thing. So over the weekend, we had a good look at Cole Palmer at Chelsea. Little cocky kid. We call him an Asbo kid over here. You can imagine him in his puffer jacket in Manchester when he was a lad, having a laugh, but he's super talented and super confident. Full of personality. Similar in body shape, more of a winger, but he wants that ball. He's taking penalties off Raheem Sterling. He wants that ball. He's got a step over in him. He's clipping passes. He don't care if that ball doesn't make the target. He doesn't give a monkeys. I am having it. I'm taking it. I'm showing you my personality. Called up England squad today. Chelsea fans are loving him. 42 million quid. We've got Havertz. And he's not showing the same personality as that kid. He's got the talent. He's got the medals. He's got the international caps. He can probably do more tactically on the pitch than Cole Palmer can at this moment in time due to his experience. But it doesn't matter if you haven't got the personality to apply it. So when does he play well? When he's forced to show it. When he's in the extremities or taking over someone's role that's important. When it's in a big game when we cannot afford passengers. In smaller games, I've seen it before, in the interior, he can go missing because other people are shining and he lets them shine. Well, he needs to be a bit like Cole Palmer, like he's playing in that team. He's saying, nah, I know you're 80 cap Raheem Sterling. I know who you are, but I'm taking the pen. I'm taking the shot. I'm taking the free kick. I'm taking the cross. And if it goes wrong, I'm going to take the next one. Sorry about the last one. I'm taking the next one. And that's what Havertz has to do. So we can then see his talent. On some days he does it. On too many, I'm afraid, he's not quite doing it. There lies the coaching challenge. How can I get through to him psychologically? Balance-wise, he gives us a lot, tactically, on and off the ball. But how can I unlock that top 20% you're talking about, Elliot, or the patron was talking about? That's what we got to find, and that's trapped at the moment, and we've got to work through that. Or Elliot, or we have to fail fast. Simple as. We have to fail fast. This is too important. We have 4 or 5 generational world-class talents in this team. We have to make sure we maximize them in their peak years, and we can't be carrying luggage that's not quite right. So make that decision, make that choice, either click through it and work with him or fail fast. That's where I am with it at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's an argument, Clive, and I think we'd all agree with this, that Kai Havertz is starting games in the absence of Jesus, in the absence of Odegaard, in the absence of Partey, in the absence of Ben White, right? In occasional absence of Saka, occasional absence of Martinelli. He's starting games, and we're accumulating points. You could look at Manchester City. Would you want Matthias Nunez right now? Remember him? They spent 62 million euro on him. He doesn't play. Mason Mount, he was the guy that a lot of people said we should have gone for instead of Kai Havertz. Mason Mount, he doesn't play. So transfers are hard. At least our guy is playing and we're accumulating points. And when Jesus is back and when Odegaard is back and when Partey is back and when Ben White is back, there's going to be a moment where Kai Havertz is playing with that group. And I don't want to use the word excuses, but I'm going to just because my brain isn't fully locked in yet. The excuses or let's say explanations for why maybe it hasn't quite taken off yet, those are going to go away. When we see him playing that left 8 row with Jesus in the middle and Martinelli on the left and Odegaard to the side of him, or whoever it is, that's his moment. We'll need to see more, I think, execution in the box. The other thing I'll say about Havertz is, look, optics are real. Alexis Sanchez is one of those players, good or not, the optics were he was giving you absolutely everything all the time, right? And that's easy to love. Kai Havertz optics are never very good. So, you need him to do the stuff because his optics are like the languid, lanky player who he's got that Ozilian optics, but Ozo more often than not produced. Clive, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just want to say in the stadium, people are really, really trying to be supportive. Really trying to be supportive. People want him to take that shot. People want him to make that header. They really do, and they're really minding their manners, shall we say. Because we know he's an important player. And I think you make a great point about accumulating points with Havertz in the team, in the group, in the European games as well. That could be a reason why he came off. I think he played 90 at Newcastle. I think he might have played 90 in midweek. And if he tired a little bit, there's no drama with that. No drama at all. But I do think, I didn't include him in my heroes list earlier on of Tomiyasu, Jorginho and Trossard, because I would have got a kicking for it. But we're saying the same thing, aren't we? That group, including Havertz, is helping us do what we're doing. And and I think you make a great point, Elliot. It's a great point.
So we'll see. I mean, this is right where you want to be. Using a player, integrating him. He's not at his best. Team's accumulating points. It's no drama. It becomes drama if those things stop being true. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Just a couple other quick hits on performance. And by the way, I don't think we need to go into Saliba much. I mentioned it. The guy is just out of this fucking world. He just is. Rice, out of this world. I do want to touch on Trossard just a little bit more, though, Paul. The goal he scores is pure commitment. And by the way, Bukayo Saka, maybe not able to totally dazzle, but winning a header, right, to get that ball across. And it's a good bit of forward play to win that header across. And then Trossard, he made a comment, and I think it is the best compliment you can pay to Bukayo Saka. Trossard after the game said, when the ball comes to him, I know I need to make a run. Because he's going to do something positive. And he scores from that. And then look, you can get 400 corners and waste them all. We've seen Arsenal do that. That corner he puts in for Saliba, I don't know how you don't score from that. It's sensational. We put in a few great corners. I like the Trossard performance. I already called out the statistical difference with Eddie. I think we saw this last season, right? That Eddie hit a bit of a wall in terms of what he could offer, and we went to Trossard, and it just brought a few things back. What do you think about Trossard's performance and whether you saw any difference in connection or involvement of the wide players? I mean, this wasn't hang it in the Louvre performance, especially attacking-wise, but I think Trossard gave us just a little bit something different that we maybe needed.
Yeah, he was playing in the busiest part of the pitch. That's where they were sitting deep. They were making sure himself, Havertz, couldn't get on the ball anywhere near the box. And that's where he was. He was in the box. I mean, there wasn't that much false nining in that there wasn't a midfield to drop into particularly. So, but the one thing you could be sure of was his quick feet would play a role at some stage. Well, okay, this was a little different. We got the goal before his quick feet paid off. But there was going to be a time. Clive was talking earlier about the patience, and I think that's really important. I think we played this game like it was 90 minutes long, but the fans are like, naturally, and I was one of them, where's my goal? Where's my goal? If we're this much, is this sterile possession, or is this body blows kind of punching away, grafting away? We don't have the tallest team, but that wasn't the first header Saka won in the box. He won that other header that he flicked kind of in the same direction that Burnley almost put in their own net.
Except for the two hands in the back of the defender being a clear foul, let's be honest.
Yeah. So props to Saka for winning those headers. Yeah, there were a lot of crosses, but I think it was more the probing. And the one thing about Trossard, and I think why he's so good in the box, is the anticipation. Him and Zinchenko are, Zinchenko's reading what's going to happen around the edge of the box, and Trossard, like in the box, he's dynamite all around that edge, all around the kind of anything from the edge of the box to the 6-yard box. He's so alive to everything. And then if it falls anywhere near him, his feet are so quick, he's going to do something with it. So he makes all the right adjustments. He knows exactly what to do to get up, get the ball in the back of the net. I just can't imagine any player not going for it. I know they say brave because he risked hitting the post. And I mean, I guess you can't fight your instincts, but like, gosh, you've a chance to score a goal at the Emirates. I'm like, I might come off on a stretcher, but I'm going for that one. Of course he's brave. Of course he goes for it. He plants it in the back of the net, wheels around, off we go. Well, not him. I thought it was kind of funny because wasn't it Zinchenko was, or maybe it was Jorginho Zinchenko urging the crowd to cheer because they thought it was all a bit quiet after we scored a goal. I think there was quite a bit of concern that our boy was lying on the ground and not looking too healthy. So there were 2 readings of the room going on there. But like, I think Zinchenko, this could be a game where you said, he didn't do that much in the first half, but I think it's all part of this. The game's 90 minutes long. Crosses were a part of our performance, set pieces, and you have to find different ways of winning. I did feel this was inevitable, but fair play to... The other thing is, Martinelli's on the pitch, and we like him on corners, but when Trossard is there, they trust the quality of his delivery.
Yep.
And the boy can put in a cross. Say what you like about Willian.
Yeah.
He could put in a cross from a corner.
It's a good way to go out on a strong point. Clive, I'm going to turn it back to you in a minute, but we do have to say goodbye to Paul, who's going to mute and turn off his camera, but stay on so that we don't lose this lovely recording we've just done. Paul's on Twitter, Pause My Pants, thanks, Pause.
Woohoo! And I needed to get in something about Willian.
I know. We're going to do a Willian in the Spotlight episode for patrons later this week to try to get rid of all of them. Clive, so let's get to Vieira for a second here. The sending off, I want to ask you about the refereeing on this one. I mean, do you think he should be sent off for it?
Yeah, because he wasn't focused, wasn't concentrating, turned around, put a lazy leg up and caught him just under the knee. And on the foot that just barely got off the ground. That's a red card, right? And let's be honest, right? Let's have a chat, shall we? Let's have a chat. We got 2.
Well, so can I ask you about one other incident? Do you have their goal as a foul on Tomiyasu?
Not in this period of the season where we are the mortal enemy of the referees.
There you go. Okay.
Tomiyasu's got to be smarter about how he buys that foul. I don't think he quite dived enough, shall we say?
He does well in the first phase, just hacking. Like, I just want him to put it out. You know what? Because he gets into the right position and then he lets himself get. No, so what he doesn't deal with. He doesn't deal with the ball enough. So if you don't deal with the situation will deal with you. That's what I always tell fullbacks: deal with the situation early, or the situation will take control of you. And that's a classic example where you could see the control of the jewel slipping away, and until it slipped away, and then the guy got the cutback, etc., and it went from there. I was comfortable with it because Burnley deserved their goal. I wasn't worried. Deflection, a little bit lazy. Deflection, they deserved their goal, and so I can say it now because we got the points, right? So, but going back to Vieira, I think we have 2 players, don't we, in Vieira and Havertz? We have 2 players there that just that we've spent, anywhere, depending on what you read, and we don't know the payments, etc. But north of 85, 90 million pounds. And they're important players to us. They're important, talented players, and we're not sure what we're getting at the moment. And that's the truth. And that's what we need to see. We need to see these guys produce. We want them to produce. There's positional lack of clarity with both of them, but also that gives us versatility that we really, really need. And they're part of the points accumulation that we've done in the first part of the season. The Vieira that came on at Fulham, I've not forgotten it. Stunning cameo.
Absolutely stunning. Again, similar to Havertz, he played with personality that day. Where is that personality? How can we get it back? How can we unlock it? He's trying overhead kicks. He's shooting from the edge of the area. It was unbelievable. Just think about that game. That player's in there, so where is he? You know? To watch Havertz at a Charity Shield, absolutely storm the channels, make centre-backs, the best centre-backs in the world, make him feel uncomfortable, get 2 clear chances in the box, and really be part of a collective performance. He's there. We just got to find him again. That player that's fired up at Newcastle, it's there. It's not been directed in the right spaces yet, but it's there. How can we unlock it? It's something I think about all the time. Way more than I should, because I've got zero influence. Way more than I should. But we all do, don't we? We all want them to be perfect. We all want to see the goals flying in. And we want to see the decisions that our club has made to move us forward. Deep down, we want them all to be successful. That's what we want. And so we challenge ourselves and we solution, et cetera, et cetera. So 2 players there, big expenditure, not quite working. They're not old. They're not dead assets. They just need a little bit more time to reach their ceiling in this team. And some people will say, well, they've already reached their ceiling, Clive, need to move on. That's absolutely fine. Some people get there a lot quicker than I do. You know what I'm like. So some people get there a lot quicker than I do, and they're absolutely, they could be bang on. But once I see something with my eyes, I know it's there. And so now I always find I'm thinking of ways to get it out, so I can't unsee it. But at this moment in time, it's costing us 0, Elliot. But down the road, if we lose something big, then I think there we're going to see a real, not say backlash, but then it becomes a clearer conversation to have.
Yeah. We have Brentford, Wolves, and Luton next. I don't know if Vieira would have started any of those games. He would have played a lot of football during that 3-game period, I think, and Lens at home. He could still play at Lens at home, obviously, but he's lost the chance to be in any of those 3 games. Then we go into a pretty tricky run, and suddenly you're in a situation where the window's getting ready to open. What do we need in the squad? Who do I trust? Who fills a role? This just feels like a really unfortunate time for this to happen for Vieira. Because I think he could have played a decent chunk of football in the next 3 games and made a case for where he fits into the picture. He would have probably wanted to start this game. No Odegaard, one of the worst teams in the league at home, that we're going to be looking to try to pick the lock and cut them open. He's a skillful player, a really skillful player with a great shot on him. He would have been targeting this as a game he could start. The manager didn't feel he could start him. The manager did feel he was the right guy to call on at 1-1 when we needed to get the goal. So that's trust. But then he goes and does this and he loses 3 games where he could have really picked himself again. And it's these moments in a career where things just get sideways. It's Sambi Lokonga making critical error and falling to pieces second half against Liverpool at Anfield. It's a little moment and suddenly your career's going in the wrong direction.
It can happen.
It can happen. Or it can't happen. I could be totally talking out of my ass. So who knows?
No, I think I hear what you're saying there, but I got to say, and you're being very forward thinking by saying this, but I have to say Trossard for me was the story of the day, and what he's done to your fabled attack, and what he's done to how we feel about our team, and we know it's not ideal, but we know the way we play. It's got such a unique attacking profile to it. To have that collaborator up there that really understands the game, understands people's movements, and create things just by how they operate, and the trust by which they exude. So his ball retention skills, just fantastic. I don't know how many crosses he made in this game, but I just love the way he can look at a game and implant himself on a game. And we're quite a young team. We've got some young spinal pillars in this team. Really young, but we've added maybe a Raya. I know he's still growing into the group. We've added Jorginho and we've added Trossard, all 28 and upward, and they sort of know the course. And this team needs some course runners. Do you know what I mean? It does. It needs them. And they make some of the younger, unbelievable talent feel comfortable. So I often talk about the psychological balance of a team. I think it's really important that people feel understand how important that is. So when you walk out on the pitch, you know who's there for you. You know who's there for you under pressure. You know who's supporting you. People driving you on and say, don't worry about a mistake. There's a next one, the next chance, the next cross, the next tackle. Players need that. A lot of these players are only in their second season for us. Players need that. And I do think Trossard is the story for me, and how he's empowering other people to play and the joy by which he brings to our front line. 2 games in a weekend, I saw them both, and he was a joy to watch. Absolute joy to watch.
I think one thing that happens in the analysis of squads is that we sometimes focus on transfers that haven't worked the way we want them to work, or maybe the big, shiny transfer like a Declan Rice. But it's the clever moves you make that do work that start to build up. And if you look at the team we put out against Burnley, Trossard is one of the clever transfers that we've made in years. Tomiyasu, who we kind of lost a bit due to injury, we're reminding ourselves what a clever and an important transfer that proved to be. Jorginho, everybody knows we don't always embrace the guys we buy from Chelsea. Not our favorite place to shop from and hasn't been our most successful. I think he's been really important and a really good addition to the squad. You know, and so as you look throughout the team that played, I think it is worth being a little bit thoughtful about the clever moves that we've made that have contributed to this squad being one now that's sitting in this position. And the position we're sitting in is a really positive one. So just as we get ready to say goodbye, Clive, final thought here. We're a point off the top. We've had a lot of players missing. I think Odegaard's back after the international break. Jesus is off to Brazil, which is an absurdity. You know, and I think back to Arsene Wenger's analogy when he said it's like a car thief. They take your car, they drive it around recklessly, they send it back to you broken. But Jesus shooting off to Brazil. Odegaard, I think, is back after the break. I think we're still a few weeks out for Partey, so we'll see what happens there. But pointing to this international break with the fixtures we had, if you told me we'd be right here where we are, point off City and the best defense in the league and not clicking in attack but missing pieces, I love where we're at. I think we're at a base camp. We talked about base camps last season. I think we're at a good base camp to go assault this league and go assault the Champions League too. Are you feeling as optimistic about our position as we look forward?
I am, and only injury worries me a little bit. I watched Liverpool play on the weekend. It was against Brentford, wasn't it? And basically Brentford were running through them. They were running through them. So Liverpool might
and Endo should have been sent off is I think the prevailing
They're running
opinion.
through them. And I'm not sure what their underlying defensive numbers are. I know they've not conceded many goals, but trust me, they're conceding shots. Right? So that we know that won't last because we were that team last year. we know that won't last. And so I think we're well positioned. We are well positioned. And that's all I want, really. I want to be well positioned with our best form to be ahead. How we overcome injury and potentially what we do in January is going to be the thing that makes us all decide. If we qualify for Champions League, which we should do, what does that draw look like? How taxing will that be? Where does it land in the fixture list? These things are all important. What happens to the other teams like Manchester United and Newcastle? Are they in the Europa League or are they Europe free? You know, these things are really, really important to what happens. And all we can do after being on this course, we know the league course. What we don't know yet is the emotional Champions League drain, what it will have on our team. And we saw it after PSV game. I think we went straight into Spurs. I don't care. We play Spurs on any other week. We beat them. There was a drain to our team. There was a fatigue to our team, and we lost key people at the end of that game that stopped us from winning the game. Right? So that thing can happen at any point in the season, and it can happen to other teams as well. So the more games they have in Europe, I'm happier for it. Right? Aston Villa, a team to watch, playing 4-2-2, doing really, really well, good combinations. Yuri Tillemans running around like a 3-year-old. They're going to be a hard team to play against. But the positive thing is that there'll be a hard team for other teams to play against. So people are signing off this league. And they may be correct, but I don't think it's going to be that simple. I think we just need to keep doing what we do in a calm, quiet way. Let other people take the press. Let Big Ange take the shining light. Let Pochettino take the light. Let Unai take the light. Because we're boring. Our manager's boring. Our manager's too passionate. He's too aggressive. When he moans, he does it in his second language and people don't quite get it because he's too passionate for them. So they criticize him. So we are there to be critiqued. We drive engagement. It's what it is. It's what it is. The only way to fight back to these people is get your players fit, go out there and win big games. And people are forced to look at you in a positive light. And if that matters to you, which you know what, mate, it's not mattering that much to me anymore. I just want us to win football matches. And so we can all enjoy the days that we want to have going forward.
Yeah, well said. And just as a final point, since you brought it up, Liverpool had 14.4 expected goals allowed, only 10 goals conceded. So they're outperforming that. We did that to the first half of last season. We saw what happened when we stopped outperforming that. We have the best expected goals allowed in the league under 10, about 9.6, I believe. We've conceded 10 as well. So I do agree. I don't think it's sustainable the way Liverpool are playing in terms of the ease with which they're cut through. But you look at it, they get 10 goals from Salah. City get 13 from Haaland. We need that player. We need that guy. Maybe that guy is Gabriel Jesus. We'll see what that does when he comes back. I feel great about our position. I'm excited to do our power rankings. I'm excited to do some scouting videos as we close in on the January transfer window so we can get done with this silly football nonsense and talk transfers again, which is obviously, we just passed the time between transfer windows with some of this football nonsense. So we'll leave it there. Paul's already gone. Clive's got to go. I do as well. We love you so much. I hope you'll join us for a couple of weeks of content over on the other side, on the Patreon side. But if not, we'll be here at the regular times with whatever there is to talk about. Clive's on Twitter, ClivePFC. Thanks, Clive.
Thank you very much.
My name's Alex Smith, Blackman Twitter. Yankee Gunner, we love you. We'll talk to you after Arsenal's 10, Brentford 0.